What if I told you that one of the biggest stories of this US Open wasn't just about who won the trophy, but about a player who walked into the final round carrying a massive lead, a damaged reputation, and thousands of fans hoping he would fail? What followed wasn't a simple victory. It was a roller coaster filled with pressure, mistakes, unbelievable recovery shots, and an emotional ending that reminded everyone why golf remains one of the most unpredictable sports in the world. Stay with me until the end, because the final few minutes of Wyndham Clark's journey reveal something that no scoreboard could ever explain. Wyndham Clark entered Championship Sunday looking completely in control. 3 brilliant rounds had given him a commanding lead, and most experts believe the tournament was already over before the first tee shot of the day. On paper, everything pointed toward a comfortable victory. But major championships are rarely decided on paper. They're decided by how players respond when pressure begins attacking their confidence one shot at a time. Clark understood that better than anyone. Only a year earlier, he had faced some of the harshest criticism of his career after several emotional incidents damaged his public image. Instead of talking about his talent, many fans questioned his attitude, his temperament, and whether he truly deserved to be considered one of golf's biggest stars. Even after producing incredible golf throughout the week, not everyone had changed their opinion. As the final round began, many spectators seemed more interested in watching him stumble than watching him make history. Every mistake received loud reactions, while great shots often felt strangely quiet. It created an atmosphere unlike anything most players experience while leading America's biggest championship. Clark later admitted that he woke up on Sunday feeling nervous, and it didn't take long for those nerves to appear. His rhythm disappeared almost immediately. Fairways became harder to find, approach shots weren't as sharp, and putts that had dropped all week suddenly refused to cooperate. Hole after hole, the comfortable lead that had looked impossible to lose slowly started shrinking. Meanwhile, another player was charging up the leaderboard with fearless golf. Sam Burns played aggressively, making birdies whenever opportunities appeared and forcing everyone to pay attention to a leaderboard that suddenly looked completely different. What had once been a huge advantage quickly became a genuine battle. Television commentators began discussing the possibility of one of the biggest collapses in recent US Open history. Every scoreboard around the course added more pressure, reminding Clark that his lead was disappearing faster than anyone expected. Yet this wasn't simply a battle against another golfer, it was a battle inside his own mind. Every poor swing invited memories of the criticism he had endured over the previous year. Every missed putt created another opportunity for doubt to grow. The easiest thing would have been to panic. Instead, Clark continued fighting one shot at a time. That determination eventually produced the moment that changed everything. Standing on the 16th hole with his lead under serious threat, Clark hit a drive into thick rough that looked capable of ending his championship. The ball settled in deep grass where clean contact seemed almost impossible. For a few seconds, everything hung in the balance. One mistake could completely change the tournament. Instead of playing cautiously, Clark trusted his swing. He powered the ball safely back into position, setting up an approach that gave him a chance to save the hole. Moments later, he converted the opportunity with a clutch putt that immediately shifted the momentum back in his favor. It wasn't the longest drive of the week or the most spectacular shot anyone had ever seen, but considering the pressure of the moment, it became the defining swing of his championship. Champions are often remembered not because they avoid trouble, but because they escape it when everything is on the line. While Clark found his composure, Burns refused to surrender. He continued applying pressure until the very end, creating dramatic moments that kept fans holding their breath. Every hole felt like it could change the outcome. Every putt carried enormous importance. On the closing stretch, Burns had opportunities to pull level, but golf can be brutally unforgiving. Margins are measured in inches, and sometimes that's the difference between lifting a trophy and walking away, wondering what could have been. As Clark approached the 18th green, the pressure that had followed him all afternoon slowly began turning into relief. One final putt left him with an easy tap-in, and suddenly the championship belonged to him. It wasn't the dominant finish people expected at the beginning of the day, but in many ways it became even more impressive because of everything he had survived to get there. Winning while everything goes according to plan is difficult. winning after watching a huge lead disappear, hearing thousands of voices hoping you fail, and still finding the courage to respond under maximum pressure is something entirely different. But perhaps the most emotional part of the entire story happened after the final putt dropped. While cameras celebrated another major championship victory, Clark's thoughts weren't focused on records or trophies. They were with the people who shaped his life long before he became a champion. His father had traveled through the night to surprise him on Father's Day, creating a moment neither of them would ever forget. Even more powerful was the memory of his mother, whose influence continued motivating him despite her passing years earlier. In that moment, the victory represented far more than another title. It became proof that perseverance can outlast criticism, that setbacks don't define a career, and that the strongest response to doubt is success earned under the brightest lights. Looking back, this championship will be remembered for far more than numbers on a leaderboard. People will remember the pressure, the hostile atmosphere, the dramatic comeback attempts, the fearless recovery shot when everything seemed lost, and the emotional celebration that followed. Wyndham Clark didn't simply win another U.S. Open. He reminded the golf world that true champions aren't measured by how comfortably they win. They're measured by how they respond when the entire tournament begins slipping away. So now I want to hear your opinion. Which moment changed the championship in your eyes? Was it Clark's difficult front nine, the incredible recovery that saved his lead, or the emotional tribute after the victory? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoy golf stories that go beyond the headlines and reveal the moments that truly define champions, make sure you subscribe because the next incredible